Welcome back to SnowRunner, guys, and just when you thought that YeahBuddy's 2021 F150 couldn't get any crazier, he updated it. And this is now what he calls the Ultimate Edition, and it's safe to say that it is potentially one of the best handling trucks I have ever driven in this entire game, like in the entire history of the game itself. Now, you can tell that hours upon hours upon hours of suspension tuning went into this truck when you drive it, but there is one specific setup that he told me to use that I haven't actually used yet, and so I wanted to share that very first experience with you guys when we take this thing to the racetrack. Now, one of the questions that I had about this truck when I showed it on stream recently was, why does it look like the suspension is already all the way damaged out? That is because this truck has a couple of different suspension options that are what is considered a no-damage suspension. Basically, the game thinks that the suspension is already fully damaged out, so it can't take on any more damage on top of what it already has. And so what that allows you to do is build a truck that is designed for jumps and racing, and then run as many laps of a jump track as you want and not incur any suspension damage. So with that being said, there's also some new colors that have been added, as well as new details that become apparent when you start actually looking at this thing inside the garage. There's also a new soundtrack to it as well, which sounds incredible when you fire it up. But let's go ahead and take it into the garage, because this is not the exact configuration we're going to be using to be driving it. This configuration is the no damage lifted suspension with, I believe, 46-inch tires. We're actually going to go with a lower suspension setup than this and a smaller tire, but that was YeahBuddy's personal recommendation to me in terms of what would actually handle the best. So we're going to go back into the garage real quick, which is not right there. It's actually right over here. And we won't run into the power pole in the process, or at least the light pole. And we're going to go into the customization. Now, we've got our engine and gearbox already set, and I'm not sure if that's the best configuration for it. Right now, I have it on quote-unquote overpowered and the gearbox on off-road, but I figure it would work for the experiment we're going to be doing right now. Now, suspension-wise, we're going for the Perfect Flex No Damage, and then the 41-inch BFG KO2s. We could also do the Baja Claws, but I'm going to run the KO2s on this setup because if we're building a truck that's going to be, you know, racing around a dirt track with jumps on it, I feel like the KO2 would definitely be a better tire for that. We also have the bed stuff already in it, and I wonder if, let's see, I wonder if taking the bed stuff out would raise it up all that much. Not really, but we have our dev tools if we need to repair it, so that's not really a big concern of mine. And wheels-wise, we do have a really nice selection of KMCL ones as well as methods, which the KMCL ones all basically have a different color that you can pick from. All the colors look really, really good. Gold, silver, full-on, like black with a silver beadlock ring, and red. Now, I think I'm going to go with the methods for this particular run. And colors-wise, you can go with that default gray, or you can go with a much lighter gray, which looks really, really good. I also like the red. I like the red a lot. And I completely understand if you guys aren't a big fan of the way it's sitting down in the rear. However, I will also drive it on the track a little bit later on with the other suspension setup, which I have already driven, but it handles really, really well. So if you haven't seen it drive with that other suspension type, you're definitely going to be interested in sticking around for that. Now, there's a lot of different... Whoa! I forgot about that color. That color is crazy. That color is absolutely freaking crazy. I think I'm going to go with the gray, actually, for this particular build. Now, let's drive it over to the track, and I'm curious to see how it handles on the way there. Now, for a quote-unquote overpowered engine, this doesn't feel all that crazy, although when you get it up into 6th gear, it is fairly quick. Oh, boy. Had to ninja winch myself real quick. Now, this isn't exactly going to be the best for the back trails, but supposedly, when you start hitting the jumps, this is going to be a great setup for that. So let's see what we can do with it. Whoop. Oh boy. God, let's go. Maybe put it in high and just see how that... Whoa, God. All right, that changed the game a lot. High is really only good for coming off of, like, really slow corners. And this trail is obviously a lot tighter, and the corners are a lot less wide than the ones we're about to be seeing on the racetrack. So the racetrack ones will allow us to get a lot of slip angle and a lot of, oh boy, a lot of momentum around the corners. So I'm definitely not going to judge it by the performance on this little tight trail on the way there. All right, let's see what we can do when we get around this corner. And of course, we're going to go ahead and repair it before we go for a lap or two. But let's go ahead and bring it up over the... Really? 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 All right, let's not do that. Whoop. All right, now let's go ahead and park it up right there. By the way, I love the freaking lights on the front. The lights on the front are freaking great. All right, repair and refuel. And now let's see what this thing can do in terms of a lap. By the way, I do love the way it looks, though. It looks really freaking good. All right, 3, 2, 1, let's send it. Gets right up into 5th gear, and it should get up into 6th pretty quickly, and then it should be able to just stay in 6th throughout the entire run. Dude, the way that suspension compresses is absolutely nuts. Look at that. Look at that. And it's tuned so that the tire size, at least the stock tire size on this particular setup, actually fits the fender opening just about perfectly in the back. Wow, and when it lifts up, you can see all that up travel in the rear. The rear is that low, so it can have all that up travel. Yo, this thing is so good. Even the harsh landings are smooth. I could have timed that a lot better, but even with it being such a harsh landing, my God, is it smooth. And it's so easy to drive. It literally feels like one of the places it was tuned for was for this racetrack. And it'll give you these nice little slides on the way out of corners. Yeah, this thing is great. Oh, almost. Got some tire damage on that one. I do need to learn the flow of this track a little bit better. I need to know where to time the throttle inputs and time the jump landings, but my God. Can you imagine, like, a grid of, like, 4 of these racing here? And look at those, like, absolutely delightful little slides. You need barely any counter steer at all to bring the truck back into line, too. God, it's so much fun. It's so much fun to drive. Oh, no. Oh, God. Well, that Ninja Winch was not great. That Ninja Winch was not great at all. But I'll tell you something. The handling of the truck was awesome. I needed to let off in order to not make that a massive fail. But let's see now, after that first lap, let's see how it does with a moderate adjustment. So now we're going to go over to lifted no damage. Wait, mod perfect suspension. Oh, there we go. So I wasn't even on the wait a minute. So perfect no damage would have been that same one, just with no damage. Okay, so the one that I'm really curious about is how it does against lifted no damage. And we're actually going to up the tire size to a larger KO2. So let's see how it handles like that. In 3, 2, 1, let's go. And let me know in the comments down below which suspension setup you would rather run, the perfect flex no damage or the lifted no damage. I understand that a lot of people are probably going to pick the lifted no damage due to the fact that it's just a little bit of a different look and the truck does sit higher up. But I gotta tell you, like, I know that the other one is supposed to be the perfect handling one, but this one ain't that far off, especially in terms of the suspension travel when it comes to landing. Like, if you want to race this thing with bigger tires, you're not really going to be sacrificing a whole lot to go with this suspension over the other one. It's absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, look at that. You have to time your jumps a little bit differently with this setup. Oh, man, I cased it just a little bit there. I lifted off the throttle a little bit, too, and I definitely nose cased the ending. Well, just overshot it into the nose on the end. Jeez, though, it's so much fun to drive. I could do laps on this track just back to back to back with this truck forever, and I would not get bored of it because I would literally just be having so much fun. Oh, my God, that timing, though. Like, if you lift off the throttle just before the jumps, or at least some of the jumps, it will reward you so much, man. So much. So freaking much. All right. Bad line, but I think we can fix it with a little bit of extra steering input. You do have to be on throttle, though, to get it to turn sometimes. My bad. Ninja winch out of that one. My bad. Whoa! Don't flip it over. Thank you. Or not. Wow. Wow. All right. Nice job, buddy. Nice job on getting your race truck stuck. Nice job turning your race truck into a unintentional crawler and putting it into the bottom of a ditch. All right, let's go over one more lap. But actually, before we do that, I want to take it over here because this is very interesting as well. I want to see how it does around this little mini circuit, because this is also, like, it's banked, but it's banked in a very different way, and the trail is a lot tighter. So let's see how she does around this track. This is a little bit more of an ATV track. Oh boy, it feels like an ATV track. It's a lot smaller than this thing was designed for. Oh, it splits right there. I've never been around this track before, though, so definitely going to have to forgive any very bad line choices. Oh, oh God. Oh, God. Yeah, this is definitely a lot smaller of a track than this truck was designed for, but, I mean, at the end of the day, though, you can still have a lot of fun out here. Dude, I love that little, like, faint drift that you got. Oh, that's really cool. Like, you can get these little mini drifts out of the corners in this thing. It's so fun. Like, genuinely, it's so fun. And once you get used to turning on throttle, like, that's how this thing wants to handle. Because if you dart the front axle in and feather the gas, it will give you grip at the front axle. You just have to be on the throttle to get it to do it. God, it's so fun. All right, I'm going to go back to the main track now, and I want to see if I can do a full lap clean. A full clean lap with no issues and time as many of the jumps as I can as close to perfectly as possible. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a real challenge, but I'm really going to try to get myself into the headspace I need to be in order to do it. And once we get it down, I really want to just be able to say that I've got the track down, at least close to getting the track down. I know there's a couple of sections I don't know the rhythm of yet, but I'm going to try and get as close as I possibly can. All right, 3, 2, 1, fire it up, and go. There's high range, back into 5th, and if I kind of play my cards right, I can keep it in 6th gear for just about the whole lap. Already started off a little bit sketchy, but let's try to keep it as unsketchy as possible. Too far over that jump, but let's not dwell on that for too long. This is flat out, by the way, flat out in 6th gear. Got to plan out in advance for this jump because the truck will get light. The truck will definitely get light on you. Dive in from the top. Oh no! Dude, that jump always gets me because I always feel like I have to lift, but like in my head, it's like you gotta lift, and oh man, I don't know why I feel like I have to lift there. Probably because a lot of the trucks that I've driven on this track are faster in their fastest gear than this thing is. Like this thing, you could definitely be flat out for a lot more of the track, and that doesn't mean that this truck is slow. It just honestly means it's tuned better. All right, let's get into this one. Little nose heavy coming down, but not terrible. Oh man, little nose heavy again. I love how this lap is less clean than the lap where I wasn't trying to be clean. Like the lap where I come out here and try to be clean, I start having issues with driving clean. Come on. There you go. Start that front axle in, feather the throttle. That's what it loves. Turn that front axle in and just hammer the crap out of the throttle. Let's see if I can get the start-finish jump right. A little better, not bad at all. Now, if you guys want to try this thing out, it is available on mod.io for you to try, and I absolutely recommend it if you like race trucks, because this thing is such an incredibly well-tuned race truck. I cannot even begin to describe to you guys how well-tuned this thing is, both in the lifted no-damage configuration and the perfect flex no-damage configuration with the stock tire size. So, mad props to YeahBuddy for his tuning work on this truck, and if you guys enjoyed the video, please do let me know your thoughts and opinions on it in the comments below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you guys next time. Talk to y'all later.